Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what's out there, really out there, past all the familiar planets we learn about in school? Imagine for a moment that we could hop into a super-fast spaceship. We would zip past the rocky inner worlds like Mars, with its red dust and Grand Canyons. Then we would cruise by the gas giants, Jupiter with its swirling great red spot, and Saturn with its magnificent shimmering rings. But what happens after we pass Neptune, the last of the giant planets? Does everything just stop? Is it just empty, dark space from there on out? The amazing answer is no. Our solar system is much bigger and much more interesting than just the 8 planets. It is filled with countless other objects hiding in plain sight. Our journey today will take us to 2 of the most fascinating regions in our cosmic neighborhood, the Asteroid Belt and the Kuiper Belt. First stop on our cosmic tour, the Asteroid Belt. This is the closer of our 2 destinations. It is in a very specific neighborhood between 2 orbits. Wide open space between Mars and Jupiter. Mars-Jupiter, a giant cosmic racetrack of debris, separates the inner rocky planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, from the outer, gassy giants, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. The asteroid belt lies roughly between 2.2 and 3.2 AU from the Sun. 1 AU is the distance from Earth to the Sun, so the belt is more than twice as far as we are. Now fire up the engines, we go much farther out. Next stop, the Kuiper Belt, distant and cold. We fly past all 8 planets, including Neptune. The Kuiper Belt begins just beyond Neptune's orbit and stretches outward. It spans about 30 to 50 AU from the Sun. Sunlight there is faint, like a bright star. Now that we know where these belts are, let's talk about what they are made of. The objects in the asteroid belt are, as their name suggests, asteroids. These are primarily made of rock and metal. Think of them as giant, lumpy space rocks. Some are dark and carbon-rich, like cosmic lumps of coal, while others are more stony, made of silicate rock similar to the rocks we find here on Earth. A smaller number of them are very rich in metals, iron, nickel. These are the leftover building blocks from the inner solar system, the same kind of material that formed Earth and Mars. They are solid, dusty, and ancient. When we travel out to the Kuiper Belt, the ingredients change completely. Out here in the deep freeze of the outer solar system, the most common building material is not rock, but ice. And we are not just talking about water ice, methane, ammonia, nitrogen. These substances would be gases on Earth. But in the extreme cold of the Kuiper Belt, they are frozen solid, as hard as rock. So, a Kuiper Belt object, or KBO, is best described as a giant, dirty snowball. This fundamental difference in composition is all because of something called the frost line. The asteroid belt formed inside this frost line. The Kuiper Belt formed far beyond this line, in a region where ice was plentiful. When we look at the populations of these 2 belts, we find even more fascinating differences. The asteroid belt is home to millions of objects, but most of them are quite small, ranging from pebbles to a few hundred miles across. There are a few giants in this rocky realm. The largest resident is Ceres. Ceres is so big and round that it is classified as a dwarf planet. It's about 590 miles, 950 kilometers, in diameter. After Ceres, the next biggest are Vesta and Pallas. Vesta is particularly interesting. It's lumpy. It looks like a planet that never quite finished forming. These big 3 are the royalty of the asteroid belt. Now, let's zoom out to the Kuiper Belt. This region is much larger in area, and it likely contains many more objects than the asteroid belt. Hundreds of thousands over about 100 kilometers across, and likely trillions of smaller ones. The most famous resident is Pluto. For a long time, we called Pluto a planet, but now we know it's the king of the Kuiper Belt. Pluto is not alone. Haumea, Makemake. One amazing discovery was Arrokoth. It looks like 2 pancakes stuck together. That's a contact binary. two objects that gently bumped and stayed together. The reason these two belts are so different comes down to how and where they were born. Both are collections of leftovers from the formation of the solar system, but they had very different childhoods. The story of the asteroid belt is a story of a planet that never was. Billions of years ago, the material in this region was probably on its way to clumping together to form a fifth rocky planet. But there was a big problem right next door, the planet Jupiter. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, and its gravity is incredibly powerful. Jupiter's immense gravitational pull constantly stirred up the material. The small bodies were pulled, pushed around, sent crashing into each other at high speeds, causing them to break apart instead of merge. Jupiter's gravity also flung a lot of the material out of the belt altogether, into the Sun, out of the solar system entirely. So, because of its giant disruptive neighbor, a full-sized planet could never form there. The Kuiper Belt's origin story is much calmer. It formed in the vast, cold, and spacious outer regions of the solar system. Small, icy bodies could gently come together over millions of years to form larger objects, like Pluto. Arakoth. Because it was so far, the Kuiper Belt has remained largely undisturbed. It's like a cosmic freezer. However, the Kuiper Belt is not completely cut off. Neptune can still nudge objects, sent on a long journey toward the inner solar system. When one of these icy KBOs gets close to the Sun, its ice begins to heat up, a glowing cloud, a coma, and a long tail. We know these objects by a more familiar name, comets. We know so much about these distant belts not just from looking through telescopes, but by actually going there, We have sent amazing robotic explorers on incredible journeys to visit these worlds up close. For the Asteroid Belt, one of the most important missions was NASA's Dawn spacecraft. Dawn was a true pioneer. It did something no spacecraft had ever done before. It orbited two different destinations in the main asteroid belt. First, it traveled to the giant asteroid Vesta, arriving in 2011. It spent over a year mapping Vesta's cratered, lumpy surface. After its visit to Vesta, the Dawn spacecraft fired up its futuristic ion engines and traveled even farther, arriving at the dwarf planet Ceres in 2015. This was a truly historic moment, as it was the first time a spacecraft had ever visited a dwarf planet. What Dawn found at Ceres was stunning. Mysterious bright spots shining from the bottoms of some craters. These spots turned out to be salt deposits. This discovery suggests that Ceres might have, or once had, a liquid ocean beneath its icy crust. For the Kuiper Belt, the star of the show has been NASA's New Horizons mission. After its historic flyby of Pluto in 2015, which completely transformed our view of ice mountains and nitrogen glaciers, the mission team looked for a new target, Arakoth. On New Year's Day 2019, New Horizons flew past Arakoth, revealing its strange, double-lobed pancake shape. To truly understand the story of our solar system's two great belts, it helps to put their differences side by side in one clear picture. Think of it as a cosmic cheat sheet. The asteroid belt lives between Mars and Jupiter, in the warmer inner part of the solar system, from about 2.2 to 3.2 AU from the Sun. The Kuiper Belt, however, resides beyond Neptune, in the cold, dark outer reaches of the system, stretching from about 30 to 50 AU. This simple difference in distance from the Sun is the root cause of all their other distinctions, setting the stage for two completely separate paths of evolution and development. Next, we have their composition, the very stuff they are made of. The asteroid belt is the realm of rock and metal. The Kuiper Belt, by contrast, is the kingdom of ice, water, ammonia, methane, blended with some rock and dust. This is the rock versus ice divide created by the Sun's frost line. While the asteroid belt has millions of objects, its total mass is surprisingly small, less than the mass of Earth's moon. It has only one confirmed dwarf planet, Ceres. The Kuiper Belt is much more massive, possibly containing 20 to 200 times the mass of the asteroid belt, and it is home to many more large bodies, Pluto, Haumea, Makemake, with likely more awaiting discovery. The objects in the Kuiper Belt are more spread out over a much larger area, making it feel like a vast, empty frontier compared to the slightly more crowded asteroid belt. As we explore these two fascinating belts, we uncover some truly amazing and quirky details that make our solar system even more wonderful. For instance, have you ever heard that the asteroid belt is incredibly crowded and dangerous to fly through, like in the movies? The truth is actually the opposite. Despite having millions of asteroids, the space within the belt is enormous. The average distance between two asteroids is over 600,000 miles, about 1 million kilometers. If you were standing on one asteroid, you probably wouldn't even be able to see the next closest one. Spacecraft like Dawn and New Horizons have flown through it multiple times without any trouble at all. Here's another cool tidbit from the icy Kuiper Belt. Pluto has a very interesting relationship with its largest moon, Charon. Charon is so big compared to Pluto, about half its diameter, that the two don't orbit each other in the usual way. They both orbit a common point in space that lies between them. It's like two partners in a cosmic dance. Some astronomers call Pluto and Charon a double dwarf planet. Finally, Arrokoth, that strange pancake-shaped object. Its two lobes are perfectly preserved with no signs of a high-speed collision, so they must have come together very gently. The pieces likely orbited each other for a long time and touched at a speed slower than a walking human. These details are more than trivia. They paint a richer picture of our neighborhood. From the vast emptiness of the asteroid belt to the dancing partnership of Pluto and Charon, to Arrokoth's gentle formation, every discovery adds a new layer. As our journey through the asteroid belt and the Kuiper Belt comes to a close, we are left with a profound sense of wonder. These two regions are so much more than just belts of leftover debris. They are cosmic time capsules, each preserving a different chapter of our solar system's 4.5 billion-year history. The rocky asteroid belt tells us the story of the inner solar system, a chaotic place of failed planets and mighty gravitational battles. The icy Kuiper Belt tells a quieter tale from the frozen frontier, a story of how the building blocks of distant worlds came together in the cold and the dark. Together, they give us a more complete picture of our own origins. By studying these ancient relics, we learn about the ingredients that built our world and the worlds around us. The asteroids tell us about the rock and metal that formed Earth, while the icy bodies of the Kuiper Belt may hold clues about how water and other essential organic molecules were delivered to the early Earth, potentially helping to spark life. Every mission we send, every new object we discover, is like finding another piece of a giant cosmic puzzle. The differences between these two belts are not just a matter of location and composition. They are the key to understanding the grand architecture of our entire solar system. The exploration is far from over. There are still countless mysteries to solve. What other kinds of worlds are hiding in the Kuiper Belt? Could a large, undiscovered planet, a so-called Planet 9, be lurking even farther out, shaping the orbits of the objects we see? Does Ceres really have a deep, briny ocean? And if so, could it harbor any form of simple life? These are the questions that drive scientists and engineers to dream up new missions and build bigger telescopes. The desire to know what lies beyond the next hill, or in this case, beyond the next orbit, is a fundamental part of what makes us human. So, the next time you look up at the night sky, remember that it is not empty. Past the familiar planets, there are two vast and incredible realms filled with millions of ancient storytellers made of rock and ice. They are waiting for us. They hold the secrets of our past and perhaps even clues to our future. Our journey to understand them has only just begun, and the greatest discoveries are still ahead of us. The adventure continues, fueled by our endless curiosity and our unwavering desire to reach for the stars and understand our place among them. Let's keep exploring,